Using Query Store with Azure SQL Active Directory authentication is a powerful way to monitor and optimize your database performance. To get started, you need to enable Active Directory authentication for your Azure SQL database. This involves creating an Azure Active Directory and registering your database with it. First, navigate to the Azure portal and create a new Active Directory. Then, register your SQL database with this directory by selecting the Active Directory admin for your database. This will enable you to use Azure Active Directory authentication with your database. Next, you need to enable Query Store for your database. Query Store is a feature in Azure SQL that captures a history of queries, execution plans, and runtime statistics. To enable it, navigate to the Azure portal, select your database, and click on Query Store under the Intelligent Performance section. Then, toggle the switch to enable Query Store and set the data retention period and the capture mode. The capture mode can be set to all queries, automatic, or none. The automatic mode is the most common setting, as it allows Query Store to automatically capture queries based on their execution frequency and resource usage. Once Query Store is enabled, you can start monitoring your database performance. You can do this by navigating to the Query Store page in the Azure portal, where you can view the top resource-consuming queries, query execution plans, and runtime statistics. You can also use the Query Store views to analyze query performance. The most commonly used views are the SYS, query_store_runtime_stats, and SYS, query_store_query views. These views provide detailed information about query execution plans, runtime statistics, and resource usage. To optimize your database performance, you can use the information captured by Query Store to identify and tune poorly performing queries. You can also use the Query Hints feature to override the Query Optimizer and specify a particular execution plan for a query. Best practices for using Query Store with Azure SQL Active Directory authentication include regularly monitoring database performance, analyzing query execution plans and runtime statistics, and optimizing poorly performing queries. Additionally, make sure to set the data retention period and capture mode according to your database needs. And use the Query Hints feature judiciously to avoid overriding the Query Optimizer unnecessarily. By following these steps and best practices, you can effectively use Query Store with Azure SQL Active Directory authentication to monitor and optimize your database performance. This will help you improve query performance, reduce resource usage, and enhance overall database efficiency.